Hi everyone. I decided to go ahead and do a quick check-in here for Friday's spiritual advocacy. And I'll wait a little bit for people to join. Let me close this door for the vacuum. And today I'm going to read something. Hey, Brandon. I'm going to read something, and I'm going to say the reason why home is within you is such a massive statement against shame is because I feel like the feeling of shame is subtle, but so powerful. And I've asked for people to share what word comes up in their head and how it may be present in their life. And what I wish I had known when I was younger is that we are all infinite spirits, whole, divine, and complete, and that we live in a physical body and in a mind right now. And that mind is survivalist in nature, and the majority of our thoughts are fear and judgment based, which separates us from that truth and from each other. And I feel like we can't even get there on a journey unless we're aware of our feelings, unless we're aware of how our heart is walking through our thoughts, how our soul may be calling us to respond in a different way to our feelings. And shame comes in when we don't learn to put words on our feelings as children, when we don't learn that there is a safe place to express them, when we don't learn anything about feelings and they're not recognized. And that's how the majority of us kind of grow up. The generation of parents that raised me were overcoming a ton of challenges, poverty, discrimination, and then the war. And so, hi, Richard. So what I'm trying to say here is that what I learned about the path of spirituality and connecting to my true self and becoming aware of how my mind works and how it uses shame to separate me from my true self and from others, is I had to first find safety and calm, feeling my feelings, connecting with them. And there is a lot of work in between. There's the fellowship where we share, where we hear other people talking about life struggles or their triumphs. There was a ton of trauma therapy, which is continued to this day, that got to kind of the roots, the core wounds, the core experiences that my mind used to set a mode in place. So there's that journey that we can do. And then there was a spiritual journey of finding calm and safety in my body with my mind through a ton of breath work, using a lot of mantra. All of those paths are explained in Home is Within You, the book. Yet right here, right now, I get to share tips about how I'm trying to teach my children to do life differently. And if there's one thing that I can do now, it is to teach them to share their feelings, to put words on them, to know there is a safe place to walk through them. I feel like if we all do that to our little child within us as adults now, that is the basis of building self-compassion and building a connection every day to our truth within. I'm going to repeat it. We are all infinite beings, whole, divine, and complete in our truest form. Nothing that we have done, nothing anybody has said or done to us changes that truth. And it's been so critical to my path of trauma and addiction recovery. So critical to recognizing what we call character defects and how my mind has worked to help me survive. So critical to building curiosity, setting aside time and space to go, what is coming up in me right now? What is coming up? And mind, let me look at these feelings all right now and see what is the lesson of the soul. That is spiritual advocacy. That's one, self-compassion and spiritually advocating for your soul. The other day, I'm going to tell you a story with my kids. Living the work includes, I have 7.5-year-old twin boys. And there's always opportunity to use these things as I'm mothering. And it gets a little crazy. They get, I've learned to kind of not get so much heavily involved when they're going at it with each other. A couple years ago, I really had to be, including like safety holds or when they're hitting. That doesn't happen anymore. And now there's a phase of what I wish I had received and what I'm sharing with you here now, and I hope you receive, of putting words onto feelings. And a good example is the other day, they were arguing over what they were going to do next, playing basketball outside with them. We were playing that game horse. And they were tired, getting, a little hungry. And so it was, well, why don't we go inside and you can take a break? And they started arguing over which Roblox game they were going to play. And one twin, bless his heart, tends to be kind of the alpha. I call him the mighty man. And the other is gentle giant, and he kind of is easygoing. Yet there's times where he will stand up for himself and say, no, I don't want to play that one. And that's exactly what he said. And his brother was upset. And as we're walking inside, he picks up a ball and he's ready to throw it at his twin brother and starts using a derogatory word. Well, you can't even, whatever, in the kind of way he was playing. He's at a lower level and gets in this, fight mode that we all get in of trying to prove his point and also trying to exert his physical influence by throwing something. And so I say to him, say what you're feeling. Say what you're feeling. And then a little less loud, I said, that will convince him. That will better convince him. So I'm mediating this interaction, and somewhere in my head, the sad reality is I had my own fears of what was I teaching my son about the world, about people. Was I teaching him that when he expresses his feelings, that others will receive them? They will be convinced. I don't know if I wanted to teach my son that. Those thoughts were going through my mind. And so I put those fears on hold. Was pondering as I'm making lunch, and then a few hours pass, we're outside playing, and, again, and the day goes on, and that thought is somewhere still there in my head. Is it good to teach our little ones to express our feelings when I myself was doubting because of my own experiences, when I expressed my truth and my feelings after the hard journey to learn that they mattered, years, decades of learning that? The road now is having to be okay within my truth myself. when others are not recognizing your truth or validating, acknowledging your feelings. So in that space as a mother, I was, is it okay to teach my son? One, to express his feelings, put words on them. Two, that it will convince others more, that they will be embraced and believed. The day went on. His brother, he didn't throw anything at his brother. They resumed and figured things out themselves and negotiated a middle ground. Then, guess what happened? The other twin, who one was trying to convince to do something, got angry. Harrison was angry that Elijah didn't want to stay outside and play and wanted to go back inside. Harrison was angry. Harrison was the one who had heard Eli express his feelings and stop throwing. Harrison was about to throw something at his brother. And Elijah, the son who had heard me say, don't throw, instead express what you're feeling and it will convince him more or better. Elijah said to his brother, don't hit me. Say what you're feeling. And there it was. Bam. Bam. The younger generation choosing love and true self, choosing a path to relate to each other through expression and identification of their feelings. That is what we do to prevent projecting our feelings. That is the second phase of spiritual advocacy. One, identifying, connecting with our feelings, connecting to our truth within, knowing we are not those thoughts, we are not those feelings. And then the second is when we are in that space of awareness, we're less likely to project. We're less likely to pick up a drink for doing things that we regret when we have expressed them in unhealthy ways. And I am guilty of that. Yet today, I own it. The last time I did that was a year ago, when my heart was aching. Since then, I have not done it. Since then, if I'm close to that, I'll just own it right away. And I will express my feelings like I am teaching my son. I was in fear. I was in self-judgment. This is what I'm feeling right now. Advocate for your spirit. Put words on your feelings. At least acknowledge them within yourself. Feel it all. Be curious. Feel it all. Write. Reflect. Sit in meditation. And it is in those spaces where your soul will tell you why you are having a thought, and more deeply, why you are feeling something. It'll open up wisdom into a core wound, probably from childhood, where there was fears of abandonment. There was self-judgment and judgment of others. That opens up a huge space of healing. And the more and more work that you do, the more you write, the more you're advocating for your spirit to give answers. The story I told you about my sons is the way that we should have learned how to live life early. And my hope is that they are learning. Their minds, their thoughts, their feelings is the middle ground to spiritually advocate for themselves, for their truths, for the intuitive wisdom. But we can't get there without a safe and calm space within ourselves that I call a home within, where we can feel it all and we can hear the soul all completely. So next time you're wanting to project, next time you see little ones or people that are in your circle of life as an adult and they're projecting, a loving thing to do, a way to choose love, is to say, tell me what you're feeling. Push them. That's what my therapist had to do. I couldn't connect to my feelings. What are you feeling inside? Don't speak this shaming word to me. Don't feel the shame you're feeling within. Or you don't even have to say don't if they're in that space. But trust me, shame is the one that is blocking us the most, and shaming of others, from connecting to the underlying pain. That is why I despise shame and shaming so much, because it's a scapegoat. It's a scapegoat that we use with ourselves. The self-pity that we talk about in the program, shame or self-reliance, all of that, self-will, it all comes in subtle ways into feelings of shame, inadequacy, and other things that people shared when I asked them, what is one word that comes up when you think of shame? It's subtle. You may think you don't have it. You may think you're not giving it off to people and shaming them. But it's very subtle. And shame is a scapegoat within ourselves to not connect to our feelings, to not do the real core work of healing inside. And when others are projecting, very often with shame, which happened to me a year ago, it's hard. It's really hard. But please know, it is a scapegoat, a way of denying the cause of the underlying pain in others that may or may not be responsible. But if they are responsible, they call it gaslighting. Often you will experience shaming from them because there is a denial of the underlying pain. We have a choice in how we respond to that. And if we don't respond healthfully at first, which I didn't a year ago, the little girl in me responded with all kinds of past trauma triggers of not having my truth believed. Own up to it. And then use it as an opportunity to heal more. Use it as an opportunity to say, regardless of what's happening around us, this is my choice in how I respond now and here today. I will go and set aside space, which is what I did, and it was beautiful, to say, what is the lesson in this pain? What is the lesson in this? And more layers are lifted. More layers will be lifted. But we first have to start, as I'm hoping to teach my sons, with putting words on feelings and expressing those words instead of projecting with, in their case, hitting or using a derogatory word like stupid with each other. All of it, life's journeys, the joy and the pain, all of it will be embraced. There will be no fear of hard times. There will be no fear of pain. The pain will reduce its frequency because you'll see all the gems underneath it. I hope I'm teaching my sons the first step, and that's through identifying the feelings. I really hope that you receive something from today. Please share. Hi, you guys. It's really good to see you. I'm waving to you all. If you just joined, please listen to this full spiritual advocacy lesson. It is the first step to advocating for your truth, for self-compassion, for self-love and healing, is to put words on your feelings, have conversations with those thoughts, and then you can work on expressing them within yourself, because you have control of that safety and calm within. Eventually, it will draw in people where you are safe to express those feelings. At least I have that here in our house, and at least my sons are learning to do that as I'm teaching the little girl in me to do it a lot more. Please check out a free band shame tip sheet. It's actually like a dozen pages that includes all the different learnings and mantras that I use as I'm living the work for the little girl within me and for my children today. It's available through the link tree in my Instagram bio. And you can get a 20% discount when you order Home is Within You through the link tree on indiebound.org. I'm super excited that all of this will be turning in to a Ban Shame Train podcast in the fall, where I'll be able to interact with you a little bit more and better. The audiobook will also be released in the fall. And my hope is that it's helping everybody, it's helping others return and to build a home within them. Sending love, okay? Thank you for being here.